What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in to the best Sun Belt Conference Championship preview we've ever had. I think, as Trojan Joe told me earlier, this is going to be the game before the game. So we are much looking forward to this, right, TJ?
Oh yeah, been looking forward to it since we decided it was going to happen. It's already been a little smoke so far. I'm interested in hearing the rest of this.
Yes. Well, I want to welcome our guest for those listening and tuning in, Trojan Joe from the Troy Boyz podcast. Lucky enough to be on their show earlier this week as the JMU representative. You won't hear people say that very often, but I tried to rep as best I could for the reasons they should be included within the college football playoffs, and obviously that benefits the whole Sun Belt in general. And we also have from JMU to the house, Delvin Joyce. Spent some time not only at James Madison as a player, but also in the league, which is pretty cool to have a guest who played in the NFL on our little bitty show over here. So thanks for making time, gentlemen.
This is fantastic, man. This is a great show. And by the way, I think you did a great job representing JMU on the Troy Boyz podcast. You laid out a compelling argument.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. And you did an excellent job being less annoying than most JMU fans. So congratulations to you on that one.
Hey, our fans are not annoying. They're just passionate. You guys should try to get some of those.
A passionate fan does not say, quote, I got some club tickets so I can go in and get my toesies warm on a podcast. Come on, man. What are you, my grandmother?
It's cold,
baby boomer.
It's cold in Troy when we host championship games. I'm still out there the whole game yelling for Grayson McCall to get his head knocked off. I mean, that's what a fan does. But go get your toesies warm, drink a hottie toddy or some warm milk, whatever you need there, buddy.
Hey, man, you damn right. You know what? I am almost a baby boomer. We've established that I'm older than you. So, I got to do whatever I got to do, man.
All right, yeah, expect that from a school who didn't start playing football until 1972. So
I would expect that from a school whose last two championships have an asterisk next to them because they didn't play the best team in the East. That's what I would.
Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Pack your bags. We're going on a guilt trip. They signed the contract. They read it, right? They're smart, aren't they? Smart.
Just saying, bro. I mean, listen, I love the technicality, but you guys won the championship without playing the best team in the East 2 years in a row. That's an obvious statement.
Dom, I want to respect you and get back to what you had planned for this. All I'll say is I understand JMU fans are mad because they signed contracts and they have to live up to them. They're mad because James Madison was turned into a villain in the Hamilton music. I get all that. That makes them angry, okay? And then their toesies are cold. But there's no reason to come on here and disrespect your show. So I'm going to follow what you want to do.
Listen, to the cold toes point, I'm going to tell you this right now. When I go to app games, I sit in the box. I don't sit with the rest of the fans because I'm not.
Thank you, TJ.
It's cold, brother. I'm from the beach. I went there because it was free. I would, as a matter of fact, if Coastal was any good at the time, I probably would have picked them because I do not do cold weather.
Nice,
yes. Man. The other TJ who is a part of the Sun Belt Syndicate says he tunes in and immediately the Chanticleers catch a strike. Yeah.
Listen,
if you
they are what they are.
Like this,
when I was coming up back in 2005, they were not the school. I don't even think they existed then, did they? Or maybe they did. They just didn't have
you guys played them. You hammered them twice while you were on the team, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we beat. Oh, yeah. At that time, it was like we beat them like 30-0 at halftime. Yeah,
they were around. Maybe 2005. Grayson McCall was already their starting quarterback in 2005.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, Mr. O'Sullivan, if you don't like the start of this one, don't check out JMU to the house this week. They didn't do you any favors either, but.
I was very complimentary of Coastal Carolina and our podcast this week, by the way.
What, that their fans don't show up at football games?
No, I did not say that, man. I said their fans were super nice and welcoming to us JMU fans. It was awesome.
Yeah, well, they gave me a middle finger.
He did say that.
Yeah.
He did say that. But yeah, it's a good listen. Both shows have been great so far, and there's a reason we listen to some of the ones that we like the most repeatedly. So those two are really, really good. Ben's getting his Red Wolves on here, TJ, since he hasn't seen you since last Wednesday. So he had to.
I know. Listen, we're not a good football team. This is the part where you kick us when we're down, and that's okay because the hope is we got some NIL money coming. So you can suck on that, Red Wolf. All right? We got some NIL money coming, and we're gonna get some good players, and we're gonna pay these people like they do it at Alabama.
Well, not to that extent, but yeah, hopefully they've got some more money coming to pay these guys. It was interesting driving home today, listening to the guys on XM radio talking about how much of an aspect this signing day has changed, right? Like it's not all the intricacies of the past that brought you into a school. Now, one of the first questions they're saying they are getting is how much am I getting paid? Which obviously a lot of us think that's a great thing. We won't get off on this subject too much, but it is interesting that it's become such a big aspect to the recruiting ranks and what that might do to, unfortunately, the Sun Belt, who is obviously playing with less money than a lot of the bigger schools out there. So we'll see what happens. But let's get into the championship preview, and we'll get right into it. This one coming up on Friday night. The first question I have, I know TJ's answer, unfortunately, but Trojan Joe, Delvin, I think I know Delvin's answer, but are you guys going to be at the game in person on Friday night?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not. He's going to be there with his warm toesies, but I'm going to be down here in God's country.
I'm in the club with my toesies warm, but I guess Trojan Joe's going to be watching in his living room with his toesies warm too. So we're even on that.
I'll go stand on the front porch and pretend I'm in Martinsville. All right. Will that make you feel better?
Oh, my guy is throwing shots at my hometown. I love this.
Seriously, bro.
I love this, man. That's funny.
I could have told you this was coming from the last time we had Joe on with an opposing podcast. Those little Southies, as he calls them, I believe. He ripped apart Jag Nation Radio one by one. It was a 4-on-1 attack. And just like Brock Lesnar in the WWE, he took out all four guys without any hesitation. So it was insane.
The wit is quick with this one.
As a guy who is 5'6" in the NFL, I also have, very quick wit because I've always had to defend myself in locker rooms. So yeah, I'm here for it, Trojan Joe.
You're talking to another guy who is also 5'8", who unfortunately didn't make it to the NFL, but was in a training camp and also was the smallest person on the team. So
let's go. Are you actually 5'8" or are you 5'7"?
No. I'm the media guy. Good point and great question. I'm 5'7" and 3/4 inch.
Okay. Yes, because Google says I'm 5'7", but my doctor says I'm 5'6". So
no, what's crazy is in the media guide for App State, I'm 5'10", 190. So never seen 5'10".
That's awesome.
There you go. A quick shout out, Delvin. I did not realize until I read about you that you were the first 1AA, because I believe when you were playing, they didn't quite call it FCS just yet, right? Is that correct?
They did not. Hence the baby boomer reference.
Right.
There you go. Well, the first 1AA player and only the second Division I player ever to have over 1,000 yards rushing, receiving, punt return, and kick return. That's insanity.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, I was blessed, man, to get the opportunity that I got at JMU as a walk-on. And, of course, I was able to make the best of that opportunity. But I just played with some amazing people. Contrary to what Trojan Joe says, we have a great fan base, people that supported us. And, I was lucky to be a part of that program for 5 years.
Nice.
Well, I don't want to take away from a real athlete here. And I'm sure you had a great time in 1997 when y'all came down to Troy and just got absolutely demolished, starting a wide receiver at quarterback like a bunch of Bush League high schoolers. But I just want to say that I was one of the first people at Troy ever to consume so much Keystone Light that the local Budweiser distributorship considered giving a license to our fraternity house. So, I get the 1,000 yards. That's very impressive. But I was putting in work too. All right. Let's keep it real for the fans.
He got an NIL deal at Keystone Light. That's dope. I love that.
Yeah. There you go.
By the way, the highlight of that trip to Troy State, for that playoff game is there was a restaurant called Barn Hills. I don't even know if it's still there, but we had our pregame meal the night before the game. And when I tell you we ate like $1,000 worth of food that night, it was amazing. So
Nice.
I'm dating myself for sure now.
Joe, is Barnhill still around?
No, I think Barn Hills is like part of the old Pioneer Village or something. We don't keep things around that old. You know, we put them behind ropes.
Put them behind ropes.
Great.
Yeah, but what years did you play?
So I was at JMU from 96 to 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not that old, but
yeah, high school class of 96.
I'll speak louder for the rest of the episode.
Appreciate that.
Oh man. We got a resident JMU fan who's come on and commented throughout the seasons, really the past couple of years. So yeah, he's happy to see you on, Joe. So very cool there.
Fantastic.
Very cool there. All right, Joe, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this matchup, and we're going to start out with what's the most important position on the field, and that's the quarterback position. Now, we'll put up Barnett's stats here in a minute when we let Delvin talk about him specifically a little bit, but this is your guy, and the stats are going to look a little different again because Goose was injured throughout a portion of the season. But what can you tell us about him other than, the stat line that we're going to see in front of us?
Well, I can tell you a bunch. The one thing I can tell you is that if you listen to the JMU podcast, as clarifying and wonderful as it is, all you'll get to know about Goose is that his name is Goose, and they can't get over it. They're like kindergartners with a picture book. If it helps you, you can call him Will if that makes it easier for you. Everybody calls him Goose because when he was young, he loved Top Gun. I know that movie, came out way after you were done with high school. But Goose, when he's hot, he's hot. He broke his collarbone early in the season. But when he comes out, I mean, you see the numbers there in front of you. He's got a legit ceiling as a passer. We thought had a chance to the next level, and with a year left, maybe still does if he can stay healthy. He hadn't done that either year. He's 62% pushing the ball down the field, 7.2 yards per attempt. He has multiple games with over 8 yards per attempt. So definitely, having a good year that way. He has 11 touchdowns on 156 attempts, which is about a touchdown every 14 passes. So that's pretty good. He's played big in a couple of close games when we needed him, which we definitely will on Friday. Nichols, Georgia State, Southern Miss. He played big in the ends of those games. You'll probably remember Georgia State, Delvin. Y'all beat them like rented mules, didn't you? 14-7. Good grief. Lay off of them. Hammer don't hurt. If you want to talk about what hurts Goose as a player, he does turn the ball over against top defenses, and that's what we're about to face on Friday night. 5 interceptions, not a terrible number, right? 3 of them were against Clemson. Another one was against Southern Miss. So 4 of his 5 were against really tough road tests, which is what we're about to have for the fans that are not keeping their toesies warm. And he definitely has boom or bust games. He has a great game against Southern Miss. He has a game against Old Dominion where he came in for Tucker, kind of the end of the Tucker regime, and he looked terrible. 98 passing yards, negative 13 rushing yards. That's why a lot of people thought maybe our QB situation was still in the air, even though most people tend to think Goose is the better athlete. And his rushing has not been what it needs to be. He should be a great short yardage, red zone guy, kind of tush push type situations. But over the year, I think with the injury too, he hasn't been as willing to kind of do the running part of it. So that's kind of the lowdown on Goose. Goose 101 or Will 101 for our James Madison brethren.
TJ, I know you've got something to ask here with as far as Goose operates within the offense or something maybe specific for Joe here.
Yeah, I was actually going to go harken back to the injuries, Trojan Joe. When you talked about his, I guess, unwillingness, it kind of puts me in the mind of Lamar Jackson, right? Like now, again, obviously completely separate athletes. Neither of them do what nobody can do really what Lamar can do. But if you've been watching the Ravens a lot lately, his unwillingness to run seems obvious. Is that sort of what we're getting out of Goose when we're talking about not using his athleticism as much as he has in the past? Or what does it look like? And do you think that's hindered him, not using his legs has hindered him from a throwing perspective as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. He's not as bad as Braxton at Southern Miss. I mean,
Right.
that guy looked like somebody had told him that if he ran the ball for more than a yard or two, they were going to blow his car up.
Right.
I mean, he just refused to run. So I don't think Goose is that bad, but I also do think our offensive line is in tough shape. We're out our 2 tackles. We've been out them all year. They got hurt super early.
Makes sense.
And so we call a lot of quick passes. And so it really doesn't have time to develop into him running.
Sure.
So I think that's a big part of it. But I think anytime, it's easy for me to sit here. I get the glory of buying a ticket, right? So I can drink all the Trojan ale I want and tell you how much I would run for those 3 or 4 yards. If I broke a rib right now, I wouldn't go to work until next week. All right. I mean, you certainly wouldn't get me out there running with a bunch of angry guys looking to hit me in the rib again. I'm not dumb. Right. So, I mean, you got to give him something for self-preservation. But we'll see. I think the real test will be next season. Goose will have another year. Does he come back still hesitant? Because then it starts to seem like that's more of a permanent thing. Or does he kind of get over it, get back into the swing of things during spring practice, summer ball, that kind of thing?
I'm sort of looking for him not to, I guess double whammy. I'm sort of looking for him, though, this being the last, I don't want to say last game because obviously you guys are bowl eligible, but this being for all the marbles from a conference perspective, I'd like to see a little bit more design runs for him to have him maybe use his athleticism a little bit more. Again, you don't want to risk more injury to a guy who's already been injured, but also too, like there's not tomorrow, right? Like you don't get another shot at a conference championship, right? So my guess is, I guess my question to you is, do you foresee any of that happening from coaching perspective? Maybe some called runs, or maybe some just him thinking about, what, the hell with it. Let's put it all on the line. Like, what's your perspective on that?
I'd love to see some of that. I don't think you're going to see Jared Parker spelled incorrectly do any of that. He was happy to run Tucker. Tucker was much more natural runner than he was a passer. I don't think he's going to run Goose. I mean, maybe if I call Goose, I've got some ends, and I tell him, quote, Troy should just be happy to be here. That's what Delvin said on a podcast that people listen to in America. That's what he said to people. So maybe if I told him that from a team with 8, count them up here, boys, 8 Sun Belt Conference titles, maybe then he'd be willing to run since he should be so happy to be in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Maybe if
2 with asterisks. 8 championships, 2 with an asterisk.
The asterisk is that you signed a contract. You're a certified financial professional. If one of your clients signed a contract with you, and then you said, whatever it is, if they signed with you, and then at the end of the day, you said, okay, I made you $1 million. That means I get 100,000. And they go, well, no, that's not fair. I made the $1 million.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, bro.
You
I'm okay
signed
with
a
that.
contract, dude. Like,
get
over it.
Trojan Joe, did you play the best team in the East for those 2 years? Yes or no?
Played the team that was eligible to play. We can't get on a bus. We can't call Keith Gill and say we don't care, Gill. We're going up to Harrisonburg. That's who we're going to play. This is not a make-believe world that you guys live in. All right. Y'all want to talk about his quarterback for a minute? I mean, what you just want to let him sit here and run his filth apostasy all over your podcast?
Oh my God, this guy.
Oh man. All right. Well, Delvin, do you have any questions on Goose for Joe before we move on from Goose?
Yeah, just a clarifying point. I didn't necessarily say that they should be happy to be here. I think what I did say is that they did a fantastic job getting to this game. So with all due respect, I do appreciate that Troy battled back this season and that they're playing in the Sun Belt Championship game. Part of that was, and I said they should be happy because there was an epic collapse by Southern Miss. Southern Miss was in the driver's seat to be in this championship game. They lost 3 games in a row, and now we have Troy. And all due credit to Troy, they won that game to effectively put themselves in this championship game. So shout out to Troy, man. I actually appreciate that effort from that team to actually be in this game.
Just a brief moment of seriousness. All right, I'm going to put on my serious.
The hat is
I know
you're switching hats. It's about to get for real.
I know you've never seen a back-to-back Sun Belt championship hat, so I wanted you to see it. But in all honesty, if JMU fans just talk to people the way you just talked, then nobody would feel like they do about y'all. But y'all go on every Facebook group and you do the shenanigans you're doing about the asterisks and all this nonsense. That's why people are mean to you. That's why people go on podcasts and are disrespectful to your fan base. It's not because y'all go to games. Just be nice to people. You don't want to be that team in Mobile. Don't do it.
Hey, a hit dog will holler. It sounds like.
A guy from Henry County would know that.
Listen, the great thing about our fans, though, I mean, that is, I think, part of the tradition that we have at JMU. Our fans, and I said this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, our fans think we're Alabama, which is fantastic, which is why, Trojan Joe and his co-host have had a field day talking about our coach leaving, right? And the cool thing about our coach leaving is that when our coach leaves, we don't go 4-8 the next season.
Is he leaving? He's going somewhere?
Why
would he leave like James Madison? James Madison's the best school that ever schooled. Why in the world would he leave?
The same reason that John Summerall left you guys, right? And then you went 4-8 the next season. And our new coach came in. Kurt Signetti left the same time John Summerall left, and we went 8-4, right? So our coach, unfortunately, is a victim of our school's success over the last 2 years.
If you're 8-4, you shouldn't even be anywhere near a championship game.
Sorry.
We were
9-4. We won our bowl game that, Troy wasn't eligible for last year at 4-8.
I mean, I get that you're going to run us through at some point tonight, how proud we should be of you for your success in the Colonial Conference. And I'm proud that you beat Furman. Okay. Furman's a tough opponent, but I mean, y'all have only been at this for a few years. So, I mean, I get it. And I get it that y'all have signed up to be the Vladimir Putin of the Sun Belt. Congratulations. But I really think
I don't even know what that means.
You ought to reconsider.
What does that even mean?
It means the villain. You mean like you're the villain. That's what y'all want to be.
No, there's plenty of teams in the Sun Belt that can be the villain. And by the way, we're just a super passionate fan base. Our fans are just excited about our team and our program. And I think for some people that comes across as arrogance or it's unbearable for a lot of other fan bases. But I think when you look at some of the top levels of college football, when you look at the SEC, their fans are just as unbearable, right? Sure. And I would also hope that Troy fans feel the same way about their Troy program and are unbearable. I know App State fans are unbearable. TJ, I hate going to Boone, right?
I know you do.
I've talked about my experience there, but that's what college football is about. So You know what? If you can't take the heat, get out of the Sun Belt.
Well, and I will say this, to that point of us being unbearable, we're only unbearable to probably about 4 schools. JMU, Georgia Southern, Coastal, and I would say 3, because the rest were because the rest would pretty much be outside of this year pretty regularly. So, but JMU, Georgia Southern, and Coastal, we pretty much hate y'all, to be quite honest.
And by the way, that's what made college football great.
Right. And that's why it's fun. Yeah, exactly. That's why it's fun. Yeah. And I mean, I remember back when we played against y'all when I was there and we had you guys down. It was like, I don't know, 21-7 or something at halftime. And your own team was booing you. And then you come back out and kick the hell out of us and like end up winning the game. And I'm like, what happened? Like, and so my hatred for JMU goes back to like 2007. So like it's been a deeply rooted hate that I've had for JMU.
Yeah, same here, man. Which is why I love you, TJ.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what.
And that's why I love Trojan Joe.
Oh, I was about to say, if we weren't friends, I just couldn't bear it, Delvin. So I really hope we're friends.
Don't know what you'd do without his friendship, huh?
I mean, I'm counting on us hanging out.
I talked about this in pre-production right before we came on air, but I mean, literally 2 of my favorite Giants teammates were Troy Trojans, right? O.C. Umenyiora and Jonathan Carter. Jonathan Carter was like an amazing receiver who was like the fastest guy I know in a football uniform. So shout out to Troy for producing, I think, some amazing NFL athletes.
Yeah, Troy. I mean, listen, they had DeMarcus Ware come from there, and I'm a Cowboy. So DeMarcus Ware might be one of the best defensive ends to ever come. Probably, I would say, probably the best defensive end to come from Troy, or best football player.
He's the best player we've ever had.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might be the best player ever from Troy.
Yeah, I got a good friend here in Charlotte. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. My good friend Leonard Wheeler, NFL player as well, also went to Troy. So he and I talk a little smack back and forth, especially about this matchup.
Yeah, for sure. As you should.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we say on this show all the time, every week is hate week in the Sun Belt, which, again,
100%.
you guys all just reassured that this is what makes it fun. Now, when I say that, what I mean is between the lines, folks, like one of Delvin's experiences was over the line, okay? Like kids should be off limits. You can have fun booing people and whatever, but let's also have some aspect where we are human beings. So let's remember that part of it as well. Yeah, exactly. I had to, tell kids at App to stop yelling in like elderly people's faces after a game loss, a couple years ago, while I held my then 3-year-old child in my hands, and they repeatedly kept going. No one's innocent. Okay. Everybody has bad eggs in the fan base, but we continue to like the fact that people care about our football. Otherwise we'd be called the Conference USA or the MAC. So we like where we're at.
Try going down to LSU for a game. I got the middle finger given to me by an 8-year-old.
We've actually done that and won. I look forward to JMU doing the same.
Oh, how about that?
They're gonna get in the playoffs though and beat Oregon, I think, is what I heard.
Hey, you should be rooting. Hey, Trojan Joe, you should be rooting for that, right? So let me ask you. Let me ask you a serious question. We beat you guys. If we beat you guys on Friday night, Duke wins that game against UVA. We sneak into the playoffs. I mean, are you rooting for that outcome?
No, good question.
I'm not rooting for y'all to beat us. No.
Hypothetically, we beat you.
No, he's saying if it happens, if we beat you, if they beat you. I say we. Jesus Christ.
Are you rooting for JMU to make it into the playoff?
No. No. Why would I do that? No. Not when I listen to a podcast that says, quote, they can't beat us, is what you said. And then you had the gall to say Evan Crenshaw's name. Keep Evan Crenshaw's name out of your mouth.
Okay,
that guy might be the best player on your team.
When you
considering how much you punt.
When you refer to him, you say sir. Okay, you do not talk about my baby boy that way. All right, Evan Crenshaw is not to be discussed with your dirty JMU mouth.
No, seriously though, Evan Crenshaw, that kid is. I mean, if he's watching this, I don't know if he does. He's a beast, bro. He's a pro.
He's busy entertaining a lady, I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah, what is it? Wednesday night? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Wednesday night. Yeah, he's got some company.
Yeah,
he's got company on a Wednesday night.
It's called Hump Day for a reason.
Yeah, having been a college athlete, and I'm sure you know, Delvin, on Wednesday night you've got some company.
Maybe.
Lead the fifth, Delvin. Lead the fifth.
These guys.
This is JMU After Dark. I love it.
All right, moving on. Alonzo Barnett, the third. Delvin, we've seen him all season. Obviously, like we said, the statistics greatly favor Barnett here because of the work and the health that he's had. Luckily, right? Like, I guess intro us there first. This was a guy who many thought wasn't even going to start or be available for the first few seasons of your 25 season. So what can you tell us about AB3?
Yeah, the dude is just a warrior, man. I mean, I love him because he's such a comeback story. He was a comeback story in 2024 because, as you remember, he won the starting job under Curt Cignetti and got the yips in the first game of the season and got benched for Jordan McLeod, who turned out to be Sun Belt Player of the Year. Comes back, fights back, stays at JMU, wins the starting job over Dylan Morris, who had transferred in from Washington, and just had, a really, really good season and a transition year for JMU, again, after we had lost Cignetti and a bunch of players to Indiana. And, of course, in the last game of that season against Marshall, literally the last offensive play of that game, he tears his ACL. And so, all the talk all offseason was, would Alonzo Barnett III be back for the season opener? It was highly unlikely. And so Chesney and company went out and brought in Matthew Sluka, who had been with Chesney at Holy Cross, of course, went to UNLV, had the NIL dispute, and then came in to JMU with Chesney. And then we also went out and got another very accomplished quarterback from the University of Richmond, an all-conference performer in Camden Coleman. And so the quarterback battle was supposed to be between Camden Coleman and Matthew Sluka. AB3 was sort of an afterthought because no one thought he would actually be ready. And so apparently the guy put in all kinds of work, worked his tail off in the training room and the weight room to get back, and ends up starting that first game of the season against Weber State.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's
a testament to how hard he worked, and really him just kind of putting in the effort, because you know this, Delvin, having played football before, like what you do off the field matters just as much as what you do on the field. And to that point, rehab sometimes is the hardest part of your time in college. I mean, it's showing up to rehab, because a lot of times it's early in the morning, right? Like nobody wants to get to rehab 6, 7 a.m., right? You've got to do the rehab, you've got to do the work, and then you've got to make yourself, from a mental standpoint, okay with the pain that it causes. And so the mental aspect of coming back, the physical aspect of having come back, and then obviously, like you said, putting in the work on the field, in between the lines. So it's really a testament to how his stick-wittedness, right? Because he could have, succumbed to what we all thought, because I didn't think he was going to be ready either. And then he comes back and he puts on an absolute show, man. Good kudos to him.
Yeah, and I think, part of his injury transition is sort of what led to some of the ambiguity we saw on offense in that season, in that second game of the season at Louisville, right? So we come out against Weber State. We're running a 2-quarterback system where, it's not, hey, one quarterback gets a drive, the other quarterback gets a drive, or one quarterback gets a quarter, the other quarterback gets a quarter. It's literally inter-drive. We're switching Matthew Sluka and Alonzo Barnett III. And obviously that works against an FCS opponent. No shade to Weber State. I think they're, a really good program. But when we went to Louisville, that's where, we saw some of the kinks in the armor, against that Louisville defense, running quarterbacks in and out. And Alonzo wasn't able to really get into a rhythm into that game. The offense was not able to get into a rhythm. And in spite of that, we're up 14-6 in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, right? And so, I think throughout the season, obviously after that game, we went to Barnett, and the guys just had a remarkable season ever since.
Yep.
I absolutely agree. I know I couldn't count the amount of people losing their minds on Twitter or X while that game was going on about the 2-quarterback set. Like, and even we have myself, TJ, the guys from the baseball show, Marvin, Seth, we all on a text thread, and we were all blowing it up. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? So yeah, we were all, even as non-JMU fans, just frustrated to say, look, you could win this game. Why aren't you sticking with at least one? Honestly, to me, as an outsider, I said, all right, well, it seems like Sluka is the guy so then just let him go and let him get warm. But it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I honestly, I think if we went back to that game, I think if we just choose one quarterback, whether it's Sluka or Barnett, we have an opportunity to actually win that game, right? But the 2-quarterback, we called it an experiment because I don't know that anyone has ever proven that it's worked, right? I don't know any place where it works.
No, it doesn't work. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. It never works.
And TJ, what I often say, man, you look at the NFL. Right, they have 3 quarterbacks on every roster, essentially, which means they have 3 NFL quarterbacks on every roster, and nobody runs a 2-quarterback system, which further lets you know that you just got to choose a guy and go.
Exactly.
Yeah, about the only one I can think of, and it wasn't a full-time thing, but when the Ravens had 3 Heisman guys in their backfield at certain points, 3 Heisman winners, I guess.
Oh
so
yeah.
Henry, Lamar, and RG3 still on the team, right?
Yeah.
Not RG3. Or it was RG3, right?
It was RG3, yeah. He was he was he the backup? Was RG3 the backup? I can't remember at that point.
Yeah, you asking the wrong guy, man. I actually don't watch NFL football. I watch the Super Bowl, but I'm a college football fanatic. I watch college football all day on Saturday, and then on Sunday I watch games on demand. Which is why I've actually watched the Troy Georgia State game, and so I know that Trojan Joe says that we barely squeaked by Georgia State. But listen, no, hang on, Trojan Joe, I'll let you talk. But if you watch that Troy Georgia State game, I mean, it was a 4-point game late into the fourth quarter, and Georgia State somehow put over 500 yards of offense up against this vaulted Trojan defense. So I don't know if that was exactly domination.
So I was actually going to say I agree with you. I watch college football, but just like a typical JMU fan, you couldn't wait to run in and snatch an enemy from the jaws of friendship. You could not wait. From the moment I met you with your little snifter of whiskey, you just couldn't wait for us not to like each other. I was trying to agree with you, okay?
And by the way, this is the James Madison Champions Drive bourbon. Does Troy have their own bourbon?
Yeah, of course we do. There's a distillery in the town.
Ours is better.
Oh, perfect. What a sound argument. Put an asterisk on it, okay? Because for 7 years you couldn't drink it because it had to be aged, right? But no, you got a great quarterback there in your hand. So I don't have any specific questions about him. I do want to ask Dom, who's become kind of the judge of this whole situation. So, Your Honor, if they had beaten Louisville, if they had listened to your sage text thread advice, would we still be in this situation where all of a sudden we wouldn't? Okay. So is it Texas State's problem for not being a wagon? Is it Louisiana's problem for not being a wagon? Is it Southern Miss's problem for not winning these games coming into the championship? Is it the West problem for beating up on each other? Why is it that when you listen to a JMU podcast, what you hear over and over and over again is, wah, I'm not getting what I want and it's everybody else's problem, when instead no one says, guys, we could have beat Louisville. We could have made good decisions. Okay, we could have had good fraternity here. Instead, what we did was we lost a game. And now instead of accepting that like grown-ups, we're just going to throw a fit in every Sunbelt group on Facebook. We're going to come on and tell you all you're terrible. We're moving to the ACC. Good luck will help you pack.
Well, hey, listen,
you're making it real big with the fans over here in Trojan.
Yeah,
they love you.
Blow it up.
Trojan Joe, I think most fans of JMU would objectively agree with you. I mean, we think that Louisville game was one that we absolutely had to win. And I agree with you. If we had won that game, I don't think we would be in this situation where we are behind the American in perception. And part of the reason why we are behind the American in terms of perception is that the Sun Belt, although we performed well against Conference USA this year, aside from Marshall maybe losing to Missouri State, and we performed well against the MAC, right? We did not perform well against the American. And we had some, really good teams this year in the Sun Belt who had an opportunity to get really good wins that helped the perception of our conference versus the American. And Troy was one of them, right? They had an opportunity to play a Memphis team, and that game was not competitive at all. I think you guys had 100 yards of total offense. So when you have a team like Troy, who's now playing in our conference championship, who only got like 105 yards against the fourth place team in the American, that's part of why the perception. And by the way, Trojan Joe, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just speaking facts. That is why the perception of the Sun Belt is down this year.
So once again, it's everyone else's responsibility, not yours, for losing a football game that you played. Got it.
Dom, did I lead by saying if we had won the game against Louisville? It's 100%. It's 100% on us. But what I am saying, listen, no. Facts are facts, bro. They're going to look at conferences, and the perception of the American is that it is better conference this year. Can we agree on that? TJ, do you agree?
No, that's fair. It's a fair point because, like you said, if we had performed better as a whole, in terms of totality of our entire conference, if we had performed better against against the American, the perception would be a little different. So
Coastal Carolina got blown out by East Carolina, 38-0.
Yeah,
right. I mean, again, I'm not saying you got to win the game, but it's at least got to be competitive,
right? And it was not. And this is and to that point though. This is one of those years because the Sun Belt is, if you want to call it down, this is a down year for us. We have not been this across the board. I hate to use the word weak, but not as strong. This has been one of those years where it's just one of those things. And for Coastal to lose to ECU 38 to whatever it was, it is overall, like you said, the perception overall is that we are not strong. So I get, again, Trojan Joe, I get your side of it because, again, take responsibility to JMU for losing to Louisville. Got it. Understood. But I also get the other side is that, again, perception to who the all powers that be is reality. And the reality of it is we got the hell beat out of us, or by we, I mean Coastal, got the hell beat out of us by ECU.
And by the way, I mean, I would also argue that it is only a perception thing. I don't believe the conference is actually down. I do believe, again, we have 7 bowl eligible teams in the Sun Belt, right? And so when you look at that versus, I think the American has 6 bowl eligible teams. I think the American is very strong at the top, right? The North Texas, the Tulane, the South Florida, and very, very weak at the bottom. Right. Yep. And so I think there's like opportunities to just beat up on those lower bottom feeder teams in the American. We don't have that luxury in the Sun Belt, with the exception of maybe Georgia State, who I think Troy kind of struggled with late into the fourth quarter and gave up 500
Y'all literally won by a touchdown. What are you doing?
We dominated. We dominated
what? Not the scoreboard.
Go! I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, we did not play well in that game, so it was a great thing that we had maybe our worst game of the season, and we actually won the game.
Delvin, I love you to death, but I'm figuring out why you didn't go to law school, because you would have started every time up to the bench being like, Your Honor, I know that my client was in the house where the woman was found dead. However, what we should talk about, I mean, you're bringing up the absolute worst possible point. Okay,
I mean, bro, you guys gave up 500 yards to Georgia State. That was the point that I wanted to bring up. You gave up 500 yards to Georgia State.
They look at the scoreboard to tell you who won, son.
Who won our game? Did we win? Did we win against Georgia State? Did we win the game? Okay, we won by a full score.
By a full touchdown. Welcome back to the Colonial, everybody. We won by a full touchdown.
Yeah, we won by a touchdown.
We're going to take
hang on. How many touchdowns, Trojan Joe, did we beat Old Dominion by?
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, you don't know. But how many touchdowns did they beat you guys by?
Then bring up Old Dominion. I'm trying to help you, dude.
All right. I'm bringing up Old Dominion.
Thank you.
How about that?
There you go.
How many touchdowns did Old Dominion beat you guys by?
You're right. 33-0, dude. You got it.
Thank you, my man.
Why not bring that up in the beginning? Why are you making my blood pressure get up?
But my point is, I do believe that it is a perception thing with the Sun Belt right now in the American.
It is, and I firmly believe that as well. Like you said, and I saw Peacock I think his message below was, we've got 9 teams that are bowl eligible, and this is considered a down year for us. That should tell you in itself that we're the American, all these other conferences, we're markedly better. Like you said, they have 1, 2, 3 teams at the top that, again, super top heavy conferences. We're thick throughout. Like outside of Georgia State, there is no weak link in our conference. Any one of our, I mean, the Red Wolves could go right now. Well, okay, ULM. There's one in the East, one in the West. Okay, fine, no big deal. However, our Red Wolves could right now go to the American Conference and finish 3rd or 4th easily.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it's also cycles too, man. I mean, the Sun Belt had a great, run. We were considered to be the strongest conference in the G5. We lose a bunch of coaches, right? And then we rebuild. And now the American's going to experience the exact same thing. They just lost 4 coaches for the top 4 programs. And, they're going to be rebuilding next year. And they're going to say the Sun Belt's the best conference in the G5 next year.
Right.
Yeah. The previous 2 seasons, statistically speaking, the Sun Belt has been stronger than the American, not just in bowl teams, just overall winning, losing, and a number of other metrics as far as finishing in the FPI and all that. If you want more of that stuff, follow the Herd Bros. Kind of a Marshall fan who's turned himself into like a group of 6 account instead, just sharing all kinds of great stuff. Yes, the American. First of all, here we just run through them all. FCS, we went a perfect 14-0. Great. We can't lose those games, so that's good. Even our weakest teams were winning those games. Against the American, 3-4 this year, so not awful, but let's make sure we have the 4 on the other side, opposite the 3 the next time. Mountain West, we went 0-1. Only had that one matchup. The MAC, we went 2-1. Just kind of surprised we didn't play more of those teams. The ACC, 1-3, and SEC, I think, finished at the time I wrote this down, it was 0-8, but obviously that's not including Coastal's blowout loss to South Carolina there. The Big Ten 0-2. Conference USA, we were up 4-3 on, and the Big 12 0-2. So those are just to kind of familiarize everybody with how we did outside of conference play to some extent. Getting back into conference play, we're going to go with the Trojans defense here. Trojan Joe, talk to us a little bit about these guys in the backfield, who you expect to have some big games and some success against the Dukes offense on Friday night.
Yeah, we're very good up front. We're coming together on the back end of the defense. We have a great red zone defense. Opponents score on only about 77% of their trips, which puts us around top 20 to top 25. We forced more empty or field goal drives than most defensive teams once they get inside the 20. Our defensive front has definitely started to hit its groove. We have 3+ sacks in 6 of our 12 games and 6 tackles for loss, 6+ tackles for loss in 8 of our 12. So, I mean, we're starting to get good. Luis Medina, very good player. Jordan Stringer, certainly a name you're going to hear. We have a good enough scoring defense. We didn't score at all last year as a defense. But we are definitely getting better at that, and we're getting better at stops on third down. So that's helping us to manage games. Our weak points, our run defense is a soft spot. So you would have heard all about that if you listened to the To the House podcast. They would have told you how terrible we are on the run defense, although we're the disrespectful ones. So it makes it very easy for our opponents to stay ahead of the chains. We do have some meltdown games. Old Dominion is one of them. But then we have great games. Southern Miss, we held them to 95 rushing yards. We've conceded 27+ points to Clemson, Memphis, Texas State, Old Dominion. And those have turned into losses, except for Texas State. And we bend a lot. We do a lot of bending, and I don't care how many times the color announcer says it. You bend enough, you're going to break.
Exactly.
So our opponents have more total yards, they have more first downs, and they have a slightly higher share of rushing first downs, 101 versus 79 for us. Our opponents average 5.6 yards of play. We average 4.9. So our defense is kind of average to below average in overall efficiency, and we're relying on those kind of red zone stops. I think as the whole team is, we're starting to get better. As we've come through the season. Here comes this guy that's still simping a coach that doesn't coach at his school anymore. Congrats on that. I think our defense has some great athletes, and we have a good defensive coordinator, but he's a young defensive coordinator. We'll talk about that more in the coaching segment. But certainly defense is a place we like to be on the field, but we definitely have some room for improvement. And we've seen that over the past 2 games, even with kind of the Georgia State outlier. So I'm looking forward to that. Way to go, Sam Talk Sports. Let's go, Troy.
He is cheering for you because he is a Boise State fan and wants to see Boise State have a shot with the JMU loss and whatever happens in the American. But, hey, he's still cheering for your team.
I don't think Boise State's going to have a shot.
They'll have a shot if they win the Mountain West. But
okay. All right. That's fair.
Because they'll have a shot if they win the Mountain West and Duke loses.
I was going to say Duke has to win, which is probably not likely.
It's not likely. I don't think it's likely, but it could happen.
Gotcha.
Hey,
okay.
Trojan Joe, Trojan Joe, I do have a question for you. So you guys have gotten, I think, a lot more takeaways this year than last year. It looks like specifically interceptions. What do you think you guys are doing on defense to contribute to that?
I think we're getting some pressure. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Spoken like a true Martinsville proud patriot. I think that we have run with this new defensive coordinator. A lot of times we have 3 down linemen. And I hate when coordinators do this, but he kind of came in and decided we were going to run his system, whether we had the athletes for it or not. And last year we were not. So we ran 3 down linemen and it did not work for us. Right. This year, we're still not quite there. Luis Medina is the guy for that. But you got to recruit long and hard in the Sun Belt to get a guy like Luis Medina because no matter what you think about his tape wearing Cardinal, he's going to get a shot to play on Sundays. He's just prototypical size. So you need 3 guys like him in order to make that work. That's not easy to find. Right. And so I think what has happened is we've gotten better at that and better at utilizing what we call the spear. In my day growing up, it was the nickelback, but now that we got all these fancy names for them. And so
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was
exactly. You're welcome. Yeah, I hate it, but it's like when we were all running the wild Trojan formation on offense instead of a wildcat. But we've started to get better about that. And the one thing we all know, I don't care what quarterback it is, if you put pressure on a guy, he's going to make more bad decisions.
100%.
And that's what you absolutely have to do. We have great guys. Devin Lafayette, for sure, is one of my favorite guys out in the secondary. He makes a lot of plays, but he's able to make those plays because the quarterback doesn't have time to dissect the offense. I think that's the real cause behind it.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, when you look at our offense, historically, we haven't been great against teams that can actually get pressure on the quarterback. And Barnett, if you look at his stat line when he's under pressure versus when he's got a clean pocket, he's a totally different quarterback. And so I do believe that, if he can help us out in the running game, maybe scramble and make some plays with his legs, and or the offensive line can hold up against that Troy pressure, I think it's favorable for us. But I agree with you. I think from what I've seen, you guys get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which is really good.
One player that I've noticed coming up in the stat line a little bit more is Donnie Smith, 9 sacks on the season. Where did this kid come from?
Donnie Smith has just emerged. He's like the late season Joe Lott. We had a guy named Joe Lott who was just kind of causing havoc on defense. He's disappeared. We don't see him anymore. But now we have Donnie Smith, who also caught the fake punt against Southern Miss. So, God bless him. He's come out and he finds a way to get to the quarterback. And that's absolutely what we need. So hopefully he'll have equal success. I've told him, actually, that's a great question. Troy did actually have to do a whole order of cold weather gear and different cleats for whatever. I
guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so because we had to all the guys had to work over Thanksgiving in order to get the gear that we might need. So, but Donnie Smith has found a way to the quarterback a lot. And, I've told him when he's trying to get around these offensive linemen, just remind them, hey, you tear an ACL here, you're not going to LA, buddy. Like, just take a break. It's 70 degrees in Los Angeles. Take it easy. Let me by. So we'll see if he takes my advice. But no, Donnie's been a great player for us.
It's awesome.
Very nice. All right. Let's go over to the James Madison side on defense. Also very impressive here. Delvin, what maybe sticks out to you the most, or where do you think you can take advantage of this Troy offense the most on Friday night?
Yeah, so our defense, man, I mean, obviously has been a highlight of this team throughout this season, primarily because of their ability to just shut teams down. And when I say shut them down, it's like pass and run. It's not one or the other. More recently, though, we've shut teams down against the run. And it really starts with some of the leaders that we have on this defense. So Jacob Thomas is a senior strong safety. He comes up in the run fit and makes plays all the time. We've also got our middle linebacker, Trent Hendrick, who's also a senior. I mean, he's just a very aggressive guy who plays downhill and makes plays. And then our defensive line, while we don't have like that marquee Donnie Smith type of player that has 9 sacks, we've got, 4 or 5 guys who can rotate in and out and make plays in the backfield. So they don't have individually eye-catching stats, but collectively as a defense, the stat line is fantastic. So I think it really, really starts with, what seems to be Troy's inability to run the ball. Obviously that is a strength of ours. We stopped the run pretty aggressively. I think Coastal Carolina had -5 yards of rushing. Your beloved App State Mountaineers had 1 yard of rushing against this JMU defense. And so if Troy has a hard time running the ball against our defense, then now obviously they're going to be one-dimensional. And I think with a immobile quarterback in Goose Crowder, who's got 37 rushing yards for the year, I think it's going to really play into the hands of our defense, being able to do some exotic things up front, change up some of the coverages on the back end, and maybe ultimately get some pressure on him in the pass game.
Nice. Okay. I like that. I don't even know if
What
I
do
have
you
any
think? What do you
questions
think?
about that.
Yeah, I've got one. What do you think
Okay,
has
there you go.
limited the scores on defense? Is it? I mean, I know you guys are the Vanderbilt of the Sun Belt. Do your guys just go down so that your offense can score, or you know, what do you think has caused that lack of scoring on the defense?
So you mean other teams scoring against our defense?
No, the defense, because your defense has 2 defensive touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So like, why? I mean, why not more? You're such a great team. Why not? I mean, you really are. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Spitefully.
No, it's
the rest of the night I will be, but right now I'm being very serious. So like, what? I mean, you would think a defense like yours would have a lot more scores to their name, given the kind of scores you see y'all putting up.
Yeah, not even just scores. You would think our defense would have more turnovers in general. That's part of the reason why I asked you your question, right? How did you guys, move the needle on turnovers? Last year, this team was a takeaway machine. We got takeaways at will, 3-4 a game. We led the nation in turnover margin, and this year it's been totally different. And I think part of it is that, a lot of teams up until the last couple of weeks have not really challenged us downfield. And Coastal Carolina, if you look at that game, I mean, they challenged one of our corners quite aggressively throughout that game and actually hit on some plays downfield. Same with Washington State. One of our cornerbacks got a pick 6 in that game. And then 2 series later, Washington State hits a post pattern over the top on this kid. Right. So I do believe that, we're just not built for turnovers. What we are built for is just consistency on defense and stopping both the run and the pass, but not necessarily takeaways.
Let me ask you this, because I've watched JMU a little bit this year as well, especially on defense. And obviously you guys are crazy against the run. And I think a lot of it too is because you guys can line up and play man in the back, right? Like you've got the athletes, safety, corner, to play a lot of man. That said, though, Troy's got some dogs on the outside. Right? Like Troy's got some receivers that can flat out go do it. Do you think the matchup there is one that kind of favors JMU, or is it one that kind of favors Troy as it relates to the receivers versus the corners? And how do you see that sort of playing out?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest concerns coming into this game, because while Goose Crowder is not a run threat, he has a very capable arm in the pocket, especially given time. And, we play a very aggressive style of defense where if we don't get pressure on the quarterback, our defensive backfield may or may not on that island by themselves be able to hold that coverage long enough to make a play. And so I am a little concerned about our ability to get to Goose Crowder in the pocket and not put that extra pressure on our defensive backfield. But I will say again, I will say this: our DBs are very, very aggressive. They're very, very capable. Elijah Culp is a very physical boundary corner. Right. Justin Eaglin plays more to the field, and he's also very aggressive. Have they shown some vulnerability from time to time? Absolutely. Louisville beat us on effectively 2 plays in that game.
Well, and that was going to be my point, is because because you guys get so much pressure, you guys at corner have the ability to be aggressive and sort of take that risk. It's kind of like, again, I'm a Cowboys fan, so this reference is going to be for people who like Cowboys. Like 2 years ago, back when Trayvon Diggs had all of those pick 6s and Bland had a bunch of pick 6s, because we were able to get pressure up front with Michael Parsons. And a lot of that's kind of what it reminds me of. But it also reminds me too that Trayvon Diggs got beat a lot deep because of the risk he was willing to take. So that's what, in my mind, sort of, I don't want to say worries me, but it does make me cautious about playing against a Goose Crowder, because his arm is so live. Like he's got a live arm. And if JMU can't get pressure.
I love it. TJ, we've converted him.
This is getting really weird, bro. Talk more about the Michigan stuff. I didn't mean to give you a hard time about that. All right.
Well, because I get in the mode and mindset of a player. But if you can't get pressure, does that scare you? It's my point.
Yeah, I mean, it does. But, what's really, I think, cool about our defense is that Colin Hitchler, our defensive coordinator for at least another couple of weeks, who came from Alabama. I mean, the guy has essentially revolutionized our defense in terms of defensive fronts and looks. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to get the pressure if you can confuse the quarterback and make them think you're playing one coverage when you're actually playing another. And so I do think we do a really good job of mixing it up, making you think we're bringing pressure and we might be in cover 0 on the back end. And in reality, we're rolling to a single safety high cover 3 look and, you know, force a quarterback into a bad throw into zone coverage.
Yeah. Muddying up the look. Absolutely.
Yeah. Warren jumping in. I was wondering when Warren would jump in, man. He's been tagging us and all kinds of stuff on Facebook here. Real pumped up for the game. So hopefully he'll make the trip. But if he doesn't, at least he'll keep his toesies warm, as we've figured out that everyone likes to grasp onto this.
Look, bro, but I want my toes to be warm too. That's why I'm going in the box. I'm not sitting out there with the fans. I'm not sitting. It's cold, man. You know how cold it is in Boone? I'm not sitting out there. I'm not gonna have my family subjected to that. I'd be a terrible father if I let my son sit out there in 12-degree weather. No, we're going up top where the heat is and the beer is.
Look, you see, boys, you don't have to win the argument. You just have to win the hashtag. That's it. All
right. Well, speaking of winning, something Jared Parker has done a lot more often this year, Joe, but overall, his Sun Belt record now just an even 12-12, right at 500. What can you tell us about how he'll factor into this game? Obviously, his game plan a little bit, and then just without the coaching aspect, just any other side aspects or players or schemes you want to talk about that you're going to see on Friday night?
Yeah, you know, you ask 10 Troy fans about this, you're going to get 11 answers. At the start of the season, people weren't happy about Jared. People got real happy real quick when we were going on a winning streak. Then it hit a new low point. We were losing to State. We got demolished by ODU. Now it's kind of peaked again after winning our last 2, winning the division crown, and going on to play for a championship. What we're witnessing here is that we have teams going on. We have a coach here that's getting on the job training. Jared Parker is at his 8th college. All right. He's had all offensive work until then, but this is the first time that he's a head coach. Reagan, our offensive coordinator, 3rd college, all offensive work. He has been at Troy before, but this is his first time as an offensive coordinator. Our defensive coordinator, Wright, 8th college, all defensive side of the ball, 3rd time as a defensive coordinator, but first time at the FBS level. So they are learning and they're improving. You know, I think that just look at the last touchdown of the Southern Miss game and the fake punt in the Southern Miss game. Jared Parker a couple years ago wouldn't have done that. And he realized what was going to happen. He didn't fall into the trap of trying to run the clock out. He hit rah-rah down the seam, and that was the smart move. He made the right play. He's also challenging anything. Even in the Southern Miss game, before that game, the last game of the season, he was moving coaches and coordinators from the field to the box. So his saying right now is challenge everything with respect. So even if a guy has been on the field all year, he's not afraid to send him up the elevator and bring somebody down that might connect with the players more. They're on kind of a, you know, boots on the ground type level. That's kind of all I've got to say about that. You know, I mean, he's certainly, Jared Parker's is in a untenable position right now. If he loses this game, then I do think he's going to have to deal, even with the bowl game, with a lot of the Troy fan base not knowing why they're so upset. I feel like it's the new Dr. Pepper commercial where the coach answers the door and goes, "But guys, we won." You know, like that's where Jared Parker is. Like, I won you the division. I got to the game. Why are you mad? But that's where Troy fans are. If somehow he wins this game, then Jared Parker is in an even worse position because now he'll be expected to take the team to Tuscaloosa and burn the town down and capture it. So like he's gonna be in a bad way either time. I do want to mention a couple of offensive weapons. We didn't really have time for that.
Yep.
Ra Thomas, DJ talked about dogs on the outside. Ra Thomas is a literal dog. He played for Mississippi State and Georgia before he got to us. Everybody kept telling us was kind of a chemistry problem. He's been a leader in our locker room. So, you know, a guy just fits where he fits. He's had 31 catches, 495 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Look at the pass he caught at the end of the Southern Miss game. Honorable mention, DJ Epps actually has 40 catches, a little more, 5 touchdowns, moves the chains. Tay Meadows, who my friend Delvin was so mean about. Poor Tay Meadows. He is the team's leading rusher, 685 yards. He's a weapon. When Troy is at its absolute best, he's getting close to 100 yards. So look for us to try to establish Tay. And the difference between Tay Meadows and Kamani Vidal is not that big a gap. And Kamani Vidal is a NFL Player of the Week 2 times so far this season. And Tay Meadows is a guy that's being crapped on by a JMU podcast. So it really is the line that's just not making the holes for him. As far as who I watch Peyton Higgins, number 2, 5'10". If 5'10" is such a lie, 180 pounds. 180 pounds is also false. He is a tiny young man from Mars Hill Bible School in North Alabama. All right. This guy is not the most talented guy on any team. He has the 3rd most catches on the team. He has the biggest heart. And the catches that he makes are usually converting 3rd downs or getting us out of jams because he just loves the sport of football. And, today's National Signing Day. And so all I know is I miss kind of guys like Peyton Higgins that you could watch come into a program from these tiny places and just out-heart everybody on a roster. I mean, I can't believe that my opponent this evening hasn't even mentioned Carlton Marshall, a Trojan who shares his unique body frame and is the leader of tackles in the NCAA. And that's what college used to be about. Have a lot of heart, go out there and play, and you get a spot. And unfortunately, a lot of that seems to be behind us. But Peyton Higgins is still out there. It's his senior year. I wish Peyton all the best. I hope that he goes up there to Harrisonburg and catches 200 yards worth of catches. That's my hope for it.
Nice. I have one question for you. We know Jordan Lovett came out and had one amazing game, was going to be the guy while Meadows was kind of recovering. Is he kind of fully healthy? Is he available? Are we still seeing quite a bit of him, or is he really not going to be much of a factor in this one?
You're going to see everybody but DeWitt Betterson Jr., who's in the running back room on Friday night. And that makes me feel old because I was in school with DeWitt Betterson Sr. So I need guys that I was in school with to quit having sons play football at Troy. That would really help me out. You're going to see a lot of everybody. J Love is an absolute change of pace back from Tay. He has done well in some games, other games hasn't. I think at JMU he'll have a shot. He's kind of a speedster. He's one of those guys that has been stopped most of the year. But if you give him 5 yards, if that happens, then that's the end of the play because he's going to the end zone. He's that fast, and he is very fast for this league for sure. So absolutely good question about J Love.
Nice. All right, let's go over to your side now, Delvin, and talk about Bob Chesney, or Hollywood Bob, as some people are now referring to him for obvious reasons. He has a Sun Belt record currently of 20-5. Impressive. Again, came in with what was left after Signetti left and has put JMU back into the championship game again. So what can you tell us about Bob Chesney? Some players to watch? Anything, again, scheme-wise that we should be kind of looking out for on Friday night?
Got a real Guido hairstyle. I like it.
That's a lot of product.
That's product, man.
He's got NIL deal for hairspray, but Hollywood Bob, man. So Coach Chesney, I think he did a remarkable job last year after Signetti took half the team to Indiana with him. I think the description that we've heard a lot is that he put the team together last year with duct tape and barbed wire. I do think the missing ingredient there is that fan base, the fan base that thought that a 9-4 season wasn't good enough at JMU. So he caught a lot of flack last year. And, fortunately with the continuity at the quarterback position, we had a lot of leaders come back to the team this year. And of course, with the entire coaching staff intact, plus the addition of defensive coordinator Colin Hitchler from Alabama, it did lead to the type of season that you're seeing today. I think we were favored in all the preseason polls, primarily, again, in this day and age of college football, it's about who comes back and what's the continuity. That's really the only way that you can make any sort of prediction like that. And JMU has actually fulfilled, I think, their potential this season. But I think, Bob Chesney is kind of I think Ted Lasso meets Brad Pitt kind of guy. He's got the Hollywood looks, but he's also a super positive, encouraging, outgoing guy. And by all accounts, the players love him, right, for that positivity. And so I think he's able to get the best out of his players. It's a shame that, if the reports are true, he's heading to Hollywood. But I think the most important thing is this game this week. And we've got some stars on this team, specifically on offense, that I did not talk about before. In addition to Alonzo Barnett III, we didn't talk about Wayne Knight, and Trojan Joe talked about a guy who's my size and my stature. You hit me where it hurts, Joe, because I do have a soft spot for small guys. So I will be rooting for that guy. I'll be rooting for that guy on Friday night, even though he's in a Trojan uniform. But our small guy, who is literally my exact same dimensions, he wears the number that I wore at JMU, Wayne Knight. The guy has had an exceptional season, over 1,000 yards rushing. He's caught, almost as many passes as some of our receivers. And he's just been a dynamic playmaker that, coming into this season, most JMU fans would not have said that Wayne Knight would be the guy that he is. And so very happy for him. Our receiving core is also very, very capable. Again, we don't really have like that standout star receiver that has caught a lot of passes for a lot of yards. It's really been receiver by committee. So we've got Nick DeGennaro, who's flashed and had some really big catches and scores throughout the season. Landon Ellis, probably our most productive receiver, has been out for the last several weeks with an injury. We're thinking he's coming back for this game against Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game. And then we also have Jalen Sanchez, who's more of our slot receiver, who's also been sort of a possession receiver for us to help us to keep drives going, in addition to our tight end. So I think from a schematic standpoint, you'll probably see a lot of RPO with Barnett, maybe keeping some of those, deciding to keep some rather than handing off. And I also think you'll see a heavy dose of Wayne Knight, and another star who's emerged, who hasn't gotten a lot of playing time over 2 years, Joby Mallory, a big bruiser type of running back, almost 240 pounds. I mean, this guy is an absolute stud, and I think he's going to have a huge impact on the game on Friday night, especially if the weather forecast turns out to be true.
Yeah. I got a question on, he was going to be mine. I had like two running backs that I both had questions for each of you guys. So you already covered that one. Jordan Fuller, I mean, he was kind of that guy early in the season. Is he fully healthy to your knowledge and also capable of running the ball on Friday night?
Yeah, I think he was a little banged up as well. And by all accounts, I think he's back on Friday.
Nice. Okay. So that gives you a little bit more depth there. And then one other one I wanted to talk about that I noticed when I was there in the stands watching against, that App State game. It's close game, as we all remember. Lakota Dupree, the tight end, man. He's not going to blow anybody away by the stats on the paper, but when I watch him play, I like how he plays the game. How much do you think the tight ends, because you've also got Logan Kyle, who I really thought was going to be that type of tight end this year. He's kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. They're really neck and neck when you really break down the statistics of it. But Dupree's found the end zone a little bit more. So, obviously giving him the edge for that reason. Is the tight end position going to be a pretty big, important detail on Friday night?
Yeah, I think our tight end room, the thing that's important about our tight ends is they have to be able to run block, because we rely on the run very substantially throughout our game plan. And I think our best blocking tight end is Josh Pfeiffer, number 89. But our best receiving tight end is, I think, Lakota Dupree or Logan Kyle. I do think you'll see both tight ends, both Logan Kyle and Lakota Dupree, play big roles in the pass game this week, especially given that, Troy's got a very capable pass rush. They've been able to get after the quarterback, and you may see some quick passes to tight ends to help us to stay ahead of the chains and keep the chains moving.
Nice. Well, I'll touch on that aspect for Trojan Joe as well. Ethan Connor is your leading tight end. Is he pretty prominent in the game plan, or is he kind of one of those like we've dink and dunked all the way down here and we're going to hit him here in the back of the end zone and surprise everybody type of situations?
I mean, I feel like Delvin and I are headed to a stepbrothers type moment here. When he was talking earlier, I nearly exclaimed, "Did we just become best friends?" Because at Troy on the offense, what we talk about all the time, regardless of who the coordinator is, regardless of who the coach is, if you're going to play wide receiver, if you're going to play tight end, if you don't block, you don't play.
100%.
That's the rule. You got to block if you want to play. So you can be the diva tight end that's on the outside. But if you don't block your man when it's a sweep, you're not going to get playing time. Somebody else is. And that's even doubly true for a guy like Ethan Connor that's built like a freaking refrigerator. All right. So, like, if he's not going to block, he's certainly not going to get to go out there and catch passes. But he's done both for us. He's really helped us shore up kind of this unsteady offensive line. And then, just like you said, he's made several long catches and been a great weapon. But down in the red zone, he's really tough to cover. You get him out against a cornerback or something like that. The guy's just, if you're a cornerback and he comes out there and there's not a linebacker coming with him, you just got to scream out, "Here comes that man again," because there's nothing you're going to do about it, So absolutely, I hope to see big production from our tight ends because that's what we've seen when we've been successful on offense.
Nice. I like it. I like how we have two really well-rounded teams. That's kind of the point. I keep looking at things, as I'm putting stuff together the past couple of days, earlier today, and I'm like, these teams really aren't that far apart. And so when JMU fans are saying, "Oh, well, Troy, had some blowout losses, and this game's going to be the 59-10 thing that we've seen against App State and Coastal Carolina," I say you're in for a different game here. Now, on that aspect, we're going to get to the next point that we need to have you guys do. And I don't know if there's anybody specifically who wants to start us out with what the score prediction will be. And I'm wondering if we'll have a surprise from Trojan Joe on who he predicts to actually win this game. But maybe for that reason, we'll start with Delvin first on the score prediction Friday night.
Yeah, so I got a lot of respect for this Troy Trojans football program. I think it's remarkable what they've been able to do to get into this game. Coming up with a big win against Southern Miss, I thought was huge because we were all, I think, throughout the season expecting to be playing Southern Mississippi in this championship game. So kudos to Troy for battling throughout the season and getting here. I do think, though, that unfortunately Troy's, not unfortunately for us, but unfortunately for them, I think their inability to maybe run the ball. I think Goose Crowder being more of a, not a goose, but a sitting duck in the pocket, and our ability maybe to get some pressure. Yeah, you like that one, Trojan Joe. But our ability to get some pressure on him in this game, as they are a one-dimensional offense because they won't be able to run the ball. I do think that's gonna bode well for us, get us some extra possessions. I agree with Vegas on this. I think we're probably a 3-touchdown plus favorite in this game, and I think we probably win the game 40-14, some sort of score like that. And by the way, I've never ever made a prediction of a score. That's not my ball game, because as an athlete, you don't predict scores. Like, I've just never done that. But for you and the Sunbelt Syndicate, I'm going to make a prediction 40-14.
Nice. Okay. We appreciate it. And we'll see if Joe wants to pick it apart now, but
No. I would never demean my good friend from down there in Henry County, Virginia. If you've never been, folks, let me tell you a little bit about it. The folks that live in Henry County, they refer to Roanoke, Virginia as the big city. Okay.
No, that's Greensboro. That's Greensboro.
That's about all you need to know. Okay. And so if you Google Henry County, Virginia, the first image you get is a race car track. Okay. So we think Virginia, but remember, we're still in the South. Okay. Delvin is a son of the South here. Okay. So we're going to show him the proper respect. And I've said a lot of things tonight. I've been very, probably obnoxious. I have been out there supporting my team. But the fact is, Troy fans just have to accept a couple of things. All right. JMU is a 2-time national champion. All right. They won one in 2004 and one in 2016. Now, are they concerned that Troy has won 3? 1968, 1984, 1987? No, but why should they be? They're royalty, okay?
Division two.
JMU has won 9 conference titles. Should they be concerned that Troy has won 23 and some of those are in actual football, not the colonial? No, because JMU is royalty, okay? And you bow down to royalty. They're just simply the best. What could we hope to do? Their coach is going out to LA, but he's still staying with them because that's how much he loves JMU. So I will just humble myself and say that at the very best, all I can predict is that Troy's going to win it 28-25 at the last minute. 9 titles coming home, baby. 9 rings.
I love it.
Ooh, all right. That is exactly the type of stuff we're looking for here. We got a score prediction from Delvin, which he doesn't give out. We got almost like this WWE style promo switch at the last minute type of thing from Trojan Joe, which I expected nothing less because I know Joe is a big wrestling
He's
fan.
excited about all those Division II championships. That was awesome. I love it.
I mean, that's what you got too, bro. I mean, no one cares about FCS, dude.
We were at least FCS, my guy.
Oh my gosh. Did y'all beat Sam Houston State ever? Tell me about it.
We did, actually.
Hey, relax on the FCS. Hey, because it was a pretty big deal. All right.
It was a big deal. All right. Mr. TJ Courman, I didn't, make sure you made a score prediction. Maybe you don't have an exact one, at least who's going to win. But if you do have a score prediction, certainly give us that.
Well, it's not 40-14. So
He's been calling JMU we all night. I did take JMU 150 to -3.
I did take JMU to win it. And for the reasons that Delvin pointed out, I actually had written down here is JMU's ability to stop the run and Troy's inability to run, right? Like Troy just doesn't run the football well. They're a one-dimensional football team, which means to me, and I talked to you earlier, Delvin, about JMU's ability to get pressure, one, and then also cover on the back end. It gives Troy, in my opinion, I think it's going to give them fits because if you can't run the football and you turn yourself into a one-dimensional football team, you've either got to get the ball out really quickly or you can subject yourself to a heavy pass rush. And you guys have got the defensive front to do that. So with that said, I predicted 31-17. That was what I went with because, like I said, there's not going to be – you won't have the ability to control the clock. Troy won't. Unfortunately, it's going to be 3 and out a lot because, again, you can't run the ball. If you can run the ball, if you find yourself in situations where you get the ball out quick on first down and maybe you get 5 yards here and then maybe now you're in a second down and 3 situation, then you've got yourself something. But if you can't run the football, you can't win a football game, especially when it's cold out. So that's where I'm going with it.
I can respect it for the reasons you gave. My decisive factor here is a little bit the weather. I understand JMU, same with App State, Marshall. A lot of people think it's going to favor James Madison, but I don't know if it really ever favors anybody in those situations, right? You're a little colder than you're ever used to. The fingers don't flex, as a wide receiver as much. Maybe TJ and Delvin, you can tell me a little bit more about that. Like it's not like these guys are used to it and they're going to play better because of it, right? Like it's still kind of a factor that's going to even the playing field to some extent, right?
Right. Yeah, no, listen, catching the football when it's below 40 degrees outside, I don't care who you listen to. It hurts. It stings a little bit, especially if you catch the laces. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where, it doesn't make it any better. And that goes into part of why I picked JMU to win this football game is because they don't have to throw the ball as much. They can run the ball and control the clock and do a lot of those things that Troy really, honestly, hasn't shown. I'm not going to say they can't do it, but they haven't shown us all year that they've been able to consistently do it. So if you can't consistently do something, then I am not to believe that you're going to be able to do it in the game that it counts the most. So if you can't run the football, I'm sorry. It's just you. To me, you get no shot.
Well, we didn't consistently beat the Russians in ice hockey either, but thank God some other people love freedom. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
That's great.
I really did not. I did not foresee a 1980s USA hockey reference coming into this show tonight, but I love
You're
it all
welcome.
the same as a big hockey fan. Yeah, I love it. I'm going to stick with what I said on the Troy Boys podcast as far as the prediction goes, though. I do not see this in the same realm of, as I said earlier, a Coastal or an App State style beatdown here. And I think the playing field is leveled because of what Troy can do defensively. I do agree that you're going to see a little bit of a struggle with the run unless, who knows, something crazy happens. But I just see JMU being at home. The factor that I'm going to lean on in this one is that I just don't see a high-scoring affair in this game with the situation with the weather, with all the pressure and all the outside noise that JMU has to listen to. I think some of that creeps in. If this game is close early, I think we're going to see both quarterbacks get pushed into situations they don't want to be in when they're trying to throw the ball downfield. Both of these secondaries are good enough to pick these guys off and have turnovers be a large factor in this game. For that reason, I'm going with a surprisingly close and low score of 24-17, but I am sticking with the James Madison Dukes to take this one in Harrisonburg, Virginia on Friday night, in which I will be in town to take it all in. So we'll be providing some coverage from the sidelines because I don't care about getting my toesies warm. I'll be on the field.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, man, you're missing out, brother. Talk to me about that frostbite.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, you can report. You can send me a text because I will not be there. I don't go anywhere. I can't get up. I can't go upstairs.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you, man. And it's interesting that this isn't technically a home game for JMU,
Right.
JMU, even though it's in Bridgeforth, right? So we won't have some of the normal in-game hype stuff. So I'm curious to see how our fans sort of react to the change of energy in Bridgeforth.
Nice.
I can tell you as a team that's done this twice, I know you haven't. We didn't actually find that it was that big a difference. I mean, they cover some stuff up and you've got some, outside bozo doing the PA stuff. But I mean, your fans are going to do what they want to do. If Troy gets a first down and everybody in the stadium goes, that's another Trojan first down, then like that Keith Gill doesn't come around and, kick your butt or anything. Like you can still do the stuff you want to do. I know y'all love throwing streamers like it's a 12-year-old girl's birthday party. Y'all can definitely probably do that.
Hated that when I played against
So I think that's great.
I don't know if I told you guys this. We would have hosted in 2022 and 2023. Did you guys know that?
Was that under the contract that you signed or?
No, I guess not.
It wasn't.
Just
okay.
FYI.
Yeah.
No, okay.
No, man.
So then I would also like to add, guys, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle, but she doesn't. So I don't know why we're even discussing this.
Oh man, I will say too, from experience when App State hosted, I only went to the one of the two that they did host, but just like Joe said, like that is what you make of it as home fans. They did the same thing at App State. None of this is new. They cover up signs on third down. They're going to ring like the bell for both teams. It's going to be kind of weird in that sense, but again, the first down stuff, it's going to be what the crowd makes of it. And having been to James Madison twice in person, I have no doubts it's going to feel and act and be a home game in just about every other aspect that they want it to be. So I don't have any concerns there. I know JMU fans were unhappy to hear that, just as I've seen Troy fans unhappy to hear it in the past and App fans unhappy to hear it. Like, hey, we earned this home game. Why can't we do the stuff we usually do? Trust me, as Joe said too, it ain't going to be, it's not going to feel alien. It's going to take just a second and everyone's going to be in it and going along just as they always do for a home game.
Yeah, I remember a home game against James Madison, I think back in 2006, when you guys should have kicked a field goal, and instead you guys decided to get 4 or 5 more extra yards. I don't know what the hell that was about. That ruined it for y'all. That's one of my fondest JMU memories, by the way.
I was there. I was there at that game. That's my App State hate origin story. Right.
Makes sense.
That's when I started hating App. Yeah.
That was insane. I don't know why. Like, no, go ahead.
I am. Last thing I'll say, and it's getting late for me because I'm an old man.
Yeah, me too.
But I am excited that we get a chance to play, a proud program like Troy, right? I'm excited that we get to play a fan base of people who actually care. And this is one of the things that, as JMU fans, this is one of the things that we wanted. As Trojan Joe has pointed out, we played in the Colonial and FCS, and there was about 2 fan bases in the Colonial that actually cared about football. And what we found in the Sun Belt Conference is that people actually care. And so to have an opportunity to play Troy, a team with such history and record of success, makes me excited as an alum, but also as a fan to go watch what I think is going to be a fantastic football game Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. What a nice way to send this off. I had written down this whole thing where I was gonna, quote the Shakespeare of our generation, Marshall Mathers, who once said, "What you say is what you say. So make sure that you say how you saying it when you were saying it." But I don't think I need to do that anymore. I think we've worked through a lot of differences tonight. Some people have been texting me throughout this program saying that I may have single-handedly birthed a rivalry between Troy and James Madison. And if that is the case, put it on my tombstone. And I hope Troy fans will come to it and drink a shot in my honor, and I hope James Madison fans will come and spit on it. So I want nothing more than for Troy fans and James Madison fans to hate each other for a long time and have nice, healthy games for big stakes, which is what we have on Friday night. So let's do it. Let's get it going.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's a great way to end it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just a quick shout out. Don't Sleep Energy and Phenom Elite. Go check them out, especially Phenom Elite for your football playing youngins like TJ and myself have. So be sure to check them out for holiday needs and gifts. And we will see you from Bridgeforth Stadium Friday night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.